Okay. In this video, we'll see conditional expressions in Oracle Fusion Groovy. So basically, we have if if conditions, if else conditions, and then while, and also we have switch statements also. So we'll see each one uh, one by one. Coming to if else, so we have two methods to define if else conditions. So if it is a uh, simple expression, right? So we can do with one line itself. Example, uh, this one. We can give the Boolean expression here. Okay. So this is the condition actually. The example maybe we can find in this line number 19. So expression and then question mark. If this expression returns true, then we can use this value. And then if it fails, means if it returns false, then it will be used this next value. So the example for this is suppose we have an email address and we are checking with one condition. So if email address ends with .gov, so then we are returning alternate email address field value. If this condition fails, we are returning another email address. Okay. So this is with single line method. But if our uh, logic is a little complex, then we can go with a normal one. So like this, we can define if if expression. So this should return either true or false. If it returns true, then it will move into the loop, right? So if org name equal to Oracle, so then only it will go to inside. So if it doesn't satisfies, it will just go to the next block, that is else. So in our Groovy expressions, right? Sometimes so this 4 or 5 lines code, we can just simply write with one line like this. So return something like this. So example in required expressions or updatable expressions or workflow conditions. So we can just simply write this statement instead of writing all these 4 or 5 lines. So this also do the same thing. If org name equal to Oracle, so then it returns true, else false. This will also do the same. Okay, so it's our convenient way, but uh, if it uh, if we need a simple expression, then we can go with this statement also. But there may be some cases where we might need to evaluate multiple conditions. So in that case, we can go with if, and then else if, and then else. So else is the default one. If any condition did not satisfy, then it will go to the else block. But in between, if we have any conditions, we need to use else if. And the default one will be else, right? Yeah. So now we'll see some of the examples here. So now I'm going to one of the application, and I'm opening one of the script. So this is to show how if else conditions will be used in real time. If you observe this script, so we have if condition first. So if organization size equal to null, right? So then it will go into the one block. Then only this piece of code will be executed. So otherwise it won't execute this part. Then inside this we have a few more conditions to check. If user equal to Parker Davis, right? So we have few other users also. Then organization size we are setting it as large if these two users. Else if another set we are setting HE large, and if it is some other users HC large. So like this for each block we are setting a different organization size based on the users. Okay, and finally if any of these conditions doesn't satisfy, it just defaults the organization size to large for all other users. Okay. So this is how we will use if else conditions in our Groovy codes. The same way, like even in other scripts, like just like this, it will be if else, or we can write uh, inside if we can write few more if else conditions, and like that it can go on depending on the scenario. Okay, this is about if else condition usage in Groovy. So next topic is while loop. Okay, so while loop, right? So when we need to use while loop is so here. Uh, so anyway, uh, it, there is only one loop here. So this code will trigger only one time. But in some cases, we might need to loop through n number of times, right? So in that case, we can't just use if else. So we need to loop through till some number of records. So in that cases, either we can use for or while loop. Okay, so we'll also see for loop. So for loop sample, right? So this is the sample script. So we can use like this for I equal initialization, then condition check, then increment, then logic. Okay, so this is one method. Then another method is like if suppose we are using uh, some map or some list, right? So then in that case, we can use like this rows in using in operator. So this is a list. Rows contains rows is a keyword, and here uh, we are giving here we are giving the list value. Okay, so this is the list, and so in this particular case, so what we are getting in this list is the attributes. So like record name, event type. So these three will be uh, looped each time. So in first loop, it will take record name here, and then the test value will be replaced here. For the first loop. So it will replace like this for first iteration. Then second iteration, it will the record name will be replaced with event type, and then orientation will be in the value. And for third loop, it will be this. So because we are using directly rows, so until unless the map and the values are available, so it will loop through that many times. Here we have three map items, so it will loop through 3 times. If we have 5 items, it will loop through 5 times. So this is the example for loop. Then similar way we have we can use while loop as well. The example can be so in opportunity we have opportunity team. Okay, so and we wanted to there in opportunity. Okay, I'll show this example here. So now if I go to opportunity, now I'm going to any one of the script just to replace. I'll just replace. Okay, so now I have opti team. Okay, I'll show the sample record. But when coming to script, what we will do is we'll get uh, the item where we have multiple records. So in opportunity team, we have multiple records, right? We can have multiple records. So we are looping through each record through using while loop. So while opportunity resource has next, if it has at least one record, so then it will go into the loop, and then it will check for this record. Opportunity resource dot next will give the current record. It will return complete record, and from that we are checking email address. So we are retrieving the email address, and then we are finally uh, storing it in emails variable. And once it performed all loops, right, then we'll see a email list concatenated with comma. So if it has two address, then email 1 comma email 2. So like that it will return. So first time uh, we are directly storing. So from next time onwards, we are separating it with a comma. Okay, so this is the opportunity, and here we have a team. So now here, if you see, we have multiple records, right? Multiple team members. So now if I run this script, it will loop through all these records, and it will give a concatenated list. Let me run and show you. Now I'm just updating one opportunity. So it should return all the emails in this opportunity. I'm just throwing an error. So it should throw an error. Yeah. So it returns emails separating by comma, right? So yeah. So because we have placed this particular script using while loop, and we are retrieving each and every record in the team, and then we are concatenating each email. So it is showing like this. So while loop we will use like this. So we have similar examples. I have we can follow this blog also. Just you some sample scripts provided here. So mostly when accessing multiple records or uh, uh, related objects or child objects, we always use while loop. So only in some rare conditions we might use for loop, but mostly in Oracle Fusion Cloud we can use while loop for multiple iterations. Okay, so that's all about while and for loop. So now we'll go to switch statement. So switch statement is also like so this can also be used as like in place of if else conditions, but also we can use some other like for better performance we can use this uh, switch. So the examples for this switch, right? So here we'll provide one value as a input parameter, and finally it filters and it gives the exact result. We'll see these two examples for uh, switch. So first example is so we are getting the environment URL. Okay, so from a profile option, and then so we need to we are passing some object name here. Okay, so object name we are passing here. Suppose this is a if we pass here object name as service request, in case one will pass uh, sub str sub object name as service request. So then it goes the service request value to here, and it checks for each, it filters with the case value, and in this case first case itself it satisfies. So it executes this code and it returns uh, it sets deep link URL equal to this value. Okay, so suppose if we pass service request by ID here, so then it goes to this value. This is more like if else condition only. If str object name equal to service request, then return this value. Else if service if str object name equal to a service request by ID, so then return value. But the only difference is sometimes if we have more scenarios, so this will help in some performance. It just filters and it goes. It doesn't check each and every uh, if else loop, right? So if we write if else loop, so until unless it satisfies the condition, it goes through each and every if else loop. But if you use switch statement, it goes if it, so it just filters and it goes to the right one. So there we can increase some performance. So yeah, so this is so mostly use it if you want to uh, increase some, if you want to uh, reduce some minimum time, right? Uh, for better performance actually. So this is one example, and another example is like if we have multiple languages, so we might need to select some template, email template or some other templates, right? So in that cases, so first we can specify the language. So based on the language, it goes to the uh, okay, it goes to the specific language, and also we are passing one, we are using here one switch statement, and inside switch we are using one more switch. Okay, so we need to pass two parameters actually. So based on that, it will select the template. So the input here is language and the case scenario. Okay, so whether it's a new SR notification or reopen or resolved, okay, or any other. So based on that, so with these two parameters, it selects the correct email template and it returns finally. So in switch here, right? So there is always a default one. So if anyone, if any case didn't satisfy, it goes to the default block and it returns some default value. So these are the examples for switch statement. So that's all for this session.